I know, they look so great. I took a picture of it.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
And we are now live on Indie Creator Studio. Tonight we are talking to a ton of people. Full house tonight. We're talking about The Parish. It's a new movie that comes out March 16th. And with us, as always, we have Patsy.
Whoa, hey, wait, oh, Jesus. I thought I was traveling through the Matrix for a second there. Whoa. Yeah, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. I don't know. Yeah, we're here. We got a ton of folks tonight. I'm very excited to talk about this film and to talk about all of these fine folks that are a part of it. So,
and we also have Philip. How's it going, my friend?
Hey, good, Leo. Glad to be here, and was fortunate to be one of the lucky ones to get to see this before it was released, and happy to talk about it tonight with the folks here.
Totally. So it comes out March 16th. It's available for pre-order right now for Amazon. If you check the links down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us, you'll find a link right there. We urge you to check it out. And Patsy, would you like to introduce everybody? I know it's a full house, so how about I go down the list?
Yeah, show me who you have, and because I have everybody written down, because there's half a dozen folks to keep track of tonight.
Okay, we'll go through the order that I have the windows open.
Okay. All right, we have Sanae, who played Audrey. Sanae, thank you for joining us this evening and for helping me know exactly how to pronounce your name.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And we have Jin, who played Sister Beatrice. Very awesome portrayal in the film. We'll definitely get to your role as well. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And we have Mr. Todd Downing, who is the writer of the film, and as you can see, as one of many Seahawks fans we have on the feed tonight, which we did not know going into this, but had a lovely conversation offline. Todd, thank you for spending the time with us.
Absolutely.
And we have Sara, who has just been an absolute dynamo of energy tonight. She plays Sandra Cassidy. Yeah, and that's what we need right now. Like it's awesome. Things are crazy up here. It's very windy and cold, and it's not fun. So all this energy is doing me well. So thank you.
I'm either like this or I'm fully sleeping. There's no in between. So
excellent. And we have Angela DiMarco, who played Liz, who is Audrey's mom in the film, and we're definitely going to get into some of the motivations and trajectories of your character as well. But thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, you guys.
And we have Mr. David S.Hogan, who is the director of the film. We are very excited to have you as well, and I really like your glasses.
All right. Thank you. Me too. These things they have more personality than I do, so I'm always happy to wear them.
I thought you were going to mention his camera because your shot is. What do you got there?
This is the Panasonic's GH5, and I'm using the Elgato Cam Link 4K for a little video upgrade.
Oh, nice. Nice. I have my Panasonic actually just died, which sucks. So I need to send it to the shop. But yeah, Panasonic makes incredible cameras.
I'm using the default camera that came with the computer, so mine's not quite as fancy.
Me too.
Did we just lose something?
All right, I want to start with a question, if I could. I want to talk
please,
to Mr. Todd Downing. Todd,
Yes,
you're probably, me and you are probably anywhere between the same age or 10 years apart, somewhere in there. But generally, you're probably like me and grew up watching films like Platoon and various other coming home, basically the Vietnam War films that all the baby boomers directed back in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s. So I was curious, were you a big fan of those films, and is that the reason why you decided to use, I guess, the more newer wars, the wars of, I guess, the people now that would be 20 years older than us, or maybe even 10 years older than us, that are actually veterans when you wrote this story? Because I guess basically, the war can cause a lot of problems for both people at home and well as those who are at the locations where the wars are occurring. So what do you got for me?
Well, sure. It's actually the Parish came from a couple of core ideas. One of them was a series of legends that I found particularly creepy and wanted to build on, and the other one was having known a lot of veterans, who are my age or even a little younger, who served overseas in some of the more recent conflicts. And their descriptions of what they went through, that to me is like a true kernel of horror, and could really lead somewhere interesting in a character study. So that's really how those things came together.
Nice. But before we continue, Leo, let me just read the IMDb for this here. The Parish. Haunted by the death of her husband, Liz uproots her daughter and moves them to a small town where the real nightmares begin. And I don't think that really spoils anything, because we learned pretty quick, probably the first scene, that Liz's husband was a war vet who unfortunately passed away during the wars. So.
So we do have the trailer. We'll get that out of the way here. Who would like to? Well, let's go over to David. Would you like to give a synopsis of the film other than what IMDb has? I've heard Bill mention it's a mix between like The Exorcist and I forgot what else he said.
Yeah, we like to call it a slow burn exorcism film, and I think the IMDb kind of summary does a pretty good job. So if you're ready to let it out, why don't you just play that trailer?
Here we go.
So nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Charles. And lovely to have you, Audrey.
Thanks.
How are you doing?
Fine. What do you want me to say?
I don't mean to pry, but would you like me to set up an appointment for Audrey with the school counselor?
We're still talking through some stuff at home.
Dad, he's really dead, right?
Children are very resilient, Liz. Trying to make sense of something that can never make sense.
Chase.
Do I get a hug or what?
Help me.
Secrets must be kept.
Are you here to tell them to go away?
Tell who to go away, dear?
The angry people.
Someone's been telling our secrets.
Father!
Silence!
Oh my, that's awesome. The Parish is out this week, and there's an Amazon link tomorrow. So are you guys getting physical media as well? I believe I read you're getting physical media along with
Uncork'd Entertainment, who's our amazing distributor. Hi, everybody, Angela. They've been great. I did see one of their posts on IG was like VOD and pre-order and going to be in stores, and I was like, oh. But I also talked to our rep, and I know there are several other streaming platforms that are still being negotiated, and we have fully now signed around with them for foreign distribution as well. So it's going to, dropping those nuggets for all you guys where you guys can catch it. But it is on Amazon for pre-order if people like to have physical copies. But something I do want to circle back that I appreciate you guys asking Todd about that process, because every time I talk to Todd, he's always like, even when he first had a bunch of actors over at his house and we read this script years ago, Todd always would mention great films of that era, like you were saying, beyond Platoon, even Jaws, we've talked about it. And I think too, and Todd, if I can say, that where Todd also wrote this script was from a place of his own grief, of what he was going through at the time. And for me, although IMDb, I love that description. The trailer says a lot. This film, for me, why I always wanted to do it was because this is a story of how she deals with her grief. And if you guys, even if you haven't seen the film yet, yes, there's cool thriller and supernatural and exorcism effects and that part of the story as well. But from Sister Beatrice to my role, Liz, to Audrey, the teenager dealing with the loss of her father, and Father Felix, they all have a story of grief. And it's interesting that even the villain, let alone the hero, you guys are part of that journey of how they all individually are running from their demons and what we all do to combat them. So I find that it's something that a lot of the interviews we've had, everyone is like, oh my God, thank you for doing a horror movie that's not just blood and screams, which is cool, but that there's a story to it and people felt like they could relate. So I love that you guys picked up on that, because it's true. Grief is grief, and a lot of us have dealt with it.
Totally.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. There's a great subtext to this type of film, especially where like you're saying, like the characters aren't just these one-dimensional, one-note, cookie cutter stereotypes. Like you're actually, invested in a lot of the characters. Like there's so many times where you watch a film and you're just like, I don't care about this one. I don't care about that person. Like I'm just here to see, gratuitous blood or gratuitous nudity or whatever you happen to be watching. It's refreshing to see something that, looks at horror from, not just the physical gross out, traumatic type of storytelling, but the mental anguish and, how you deal with grief, exactly like Angela was just saying, how you deal with your grief and how these things can manifest if they're not handled appropriately. Like, facing your problems instead of running away from them.
Exactly.
And I think we all, don't get me wrong, I grew up on Nightmare on Elm Street. I love me some little faces on pizzas and some blood, and Sanae, she's been in some gory films. She just wrapped her in a gory film. I'm sure she'll talk about it. So, I mean, I think there's a place for those as well. Shout out to those who do it, but thank you. Yes. Yes, Patsy, I agree. I like it when I can relate.
I have a question for Sara. Sara, I usually try not to be the Liz character in real life, so I usually just keep my problems to myself, and so I'm never the one to actually ask for help. But I'm always asked for help. And your character, Sandra, is very supportive of the Liz character, and I felt that relationship was one of the best parts of the film. And I actually felt sad when she moved away because you were losing your friend. But how were you able to be that authentic? Because you reminded me of how I've been able to, when people ask me for help and stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we were talking about horror movie and gory movies, because I'm a horror movie super fan. And normally when there's a character like I was playing, kind of a comedic relief character, that's where it would end. But what I really liked about this is there was that scene in where we really break down our relationship. And I think on being authentic, I'm friends with Angela, and we've been friends for years. And so we've always been kind of like just adjacent from each other's, she'll be working on something that I'm kind of, on the outskirts on or the other way. And we finally got to, I don't know if Angela wants to speak on this, but like build up to finally having a scene together. And I was like, I'm going to chew on this as much as I can and enjoy every second, because we are true friends. And so it was really a privilege, and one of probably my favorite scenes I've ever filmed in anything I've ever done, because it was honest, true. We were crying the entire time, and then we were laughing, and then we were joking, and it's kind of just a testament to our relationship. So I enjoyed being able to be given this comedic role, because that's kind of what I get most of the time, and then given a scene within it to show the humanity behind the character, not just like the goofy wackadoo person. So that's how I feel.
Nice. Now, David, how did you get into being a director? Because I see that on your IMDb that you've done a lot of acting credits. So I assume it was just the next step was to become a director. How is that how it worked out?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I've done mostly acting in the world of my on-camera career has mostly been acting, but I've been doing more producing since we started our company, Mighty Tripod Productions. Angela and I mostly wanted to start creating our own stuff, because you can't just wait around for the phone to ring here in the Northwest anyhow. So we've been producing since about 2012, but this was the first time I've directed a feature, and the opportunity presented itself, and I liked the script, obviously. I liked Todd's writing quite a bit, and I wanted to work with Angela. I think we have a really good working relationship. And I really just wanted to dive in and see what it was like to direct a feature-length film. I directed maybe a short film or two, but that's nothing compared to the journey of going from pre-production to getting this movie to where it will be tomorrow, which is actually on a shelf that somebody can go and buy. And it's been one hell of a journey for sure.
One of the things that
I do want to say, just shout out to Todd, that this is like the years ago, and I don't know what I'm hearing, you guys, so I apologize. I don't know who's in that's coming from. It's like somebody's doing a leaf blower. I hope you can hear
Somebody's dragging a body.
But I do want to do a shout out to Todd in that years ago when we all gathered at the house, this was just a group of his friends reading the script. I said, I'm going to produce this someday. And I'm talking, Todd, what was that? At least 5 years ago.
Oh, no, it was 12.
I mean, yeah. And this is so a while ago. And then David and I had the means. We approached him and said, hey, we'd love to produce this film. David would love to direct. You know, I want to bring the role to life. And also for Todd as a writer to go, yeah, okay, I'm going to let these two, direct and produce it. And how open he was with this amazing story he already wrote, but he let each of us as actors also breathe in the role. So I got to shout out again back to Sara that although Todd wrote such a great role in Sandra, Sara also had moments of just adding her own little sprinkle in there. And of course, we're all like dying on set. And we're like, yes, we're going to keep that. So got to get me a husband. Once you guys all see the film, you know what I'm talking about. That's all a girl. And Todd and I also decided about the daughter being a teenager. She was originally written as a much younger. And he knew this was like, right, Todd? Todd was like, hey, Stranger Things, teen cast, tween cast. I think we'll have a bigger demographic and more relatable to have a whole nother journey through a teenager's eyes versus if it was a 7 or 8 year old, it would have been really different. And obviously you guys saw Sanae slay that. So sorry, I always have to give shout outs. And for anybody who doesn't know, Dave and I are also married. So yeah, he's kind of stuck with us when we create anything.
That's fair.
No, I have a shout out. I'll do
Sara.
one quick. And I would say with working with Mighty Tripod, I've seen their work forever. I've been in that community forever, but having it be such a safe set, such an inclusive set, the ability for David and even, knowing that Todd would be okay with me improvising a little bit and attempting something else. And it's one of those places, and it's rare, I hate to say it, where you feel so safe to allow yourself to truly let go without worrying if, well, they recast me. Well, like crazy banana stuff. So they have this hustle and professionalism that you just strive to have. So it was a privilege to be on their set, and I hope they make more movies and cast me.
Definitely throw that in at the end.
Always.
One of the things that I know Phil does this as well, but to prep for these films that we're going to watch and interview folks, we don't watch the trailers. We don't look at IMDb. We don't look at anything because we don't want anything influencing us. So that was the first time that I saw the trailer. I hadn't seen the trailer yet. And I love this stuff. So my question is for Jen. How did you channel, because you seem like such a delightful young lady, how were you able to channel this raw malice into your character?
Well, let's see. I think during the audition, I was channeling a certain family member. That's it. But with getting into it, I had gone to a Catholic school when I was a kid, and I had actually wanted to become a nun at one point. And so, my heart was kind of there, even though the experience was less than great for my brother, who is rather outspoken in his atheism. So, we really got to see a wide range of behavior there. It was basically that. But I think as per Angela's point, just the fact that Todd wrote background for all of these characters where they do have to deal with so much anguish, and she has a multi-layered story. So, and it makes sense. It makes sense why she would maybe turn into, I don't want to give too much away, but be really good at scaring people.
I think that's a fair assessment and a good way to kind of keep things spoiler free, as the movie has not yet come out.
I will say, Patsy, that again with Jen, next level in the callbacks, Dave, we had to warn the other businesses in the studio we were in at the time because David was having the sister Beatrices in, and it was that scene you guys all know happens towards Act 3. So there's a lot of screaming and a lot of Latin and a lot of craziness going on. And David was like, hey, don't worry, guys, we're not doing an exorcism. And just was next level. She's also an amazing vocal educator. She works with the voice. So of course her voice is resonant and incredible. So we knew that. But then that night, no spoilers, Todd is there. We're all there. We know this is basically the Act 3 climax. And Bill says, I happen to carry around some extra Latin with me. This exorcism. Bill Oberst Jr. couldn't be here tonight. He does send his love to everybody. And Bill is amazing. We're so gifted and
wonderful.
Yes. I mean, it just brought the film to the next level. But that was something that we, talked to Todd. Todd was like, okay, yeah, I like what it means. Jen and Bill went away for 15 minutes, maybe, memorized, a page of Latin, like you do, and slayed that scene. Slayed it.
Yeah. That is my reply was, I happened to take Latin years ago.
I aspire.
Shout out to Angela, who, she would be going through these terrifying moments, and David would quietly be holding down the set. And then as soon as it's cut, she'd be like, what is that? Is everybody fed? Is everybody okay? Just kind of switching hats. And it's like, those are good lines. Good job, and then, oh, right. It's really something to behold. I've never seen such multitasking in my life.
You mentioned Bill, who plays Father Felix. We've had him on the show before, and absolutely love Bill. I forgot the movie that we had him on before. It was a clown movie.
He played Papa Corn.
Yes, Papa Corn with Billy Pond's clown movie. But absolutely love Bill Oberst Jr. Just his presence, but how everybody interacted with him. And yes, the scene you're talking about at the end was phenomenal. And I've heard that, this is a role that he's really been wanting for quite some time.
Yeah. He thanked Todd and David constantly. It's something that David I'll let you talk to that, David. How David even approached him.
Yeah, I discovered Bill through the internet, where we make all of our friends nowadays, apparently. I connected with him. I saw him on a Film Courage interview, just kind of talking about his path from a theater background, moving to LA, and that journey of getting established and finally building a career. And as an actor who's also an acting coach, and we have an acting studio here in Seattle, his advice just struck me as being very, very realistic from the heart. And I could just tell that he had a really great personality, just a really good person. So I reached out, we made a connection, and eventually when we knew we were producing Todd's film, I reached out and I sent him the script, and luckily he really, really liked it. And the next thing you know, our people are contacting his people, and we're just so fortunate to have had him, because he's not only a great actor, but he's just a really good person. And that combination, those are the kind of people you want on your film set. You can't have a great actor who's also a D-bag. It's not quite as nice for a day on set.
David, one of our audience members asked the question, and since you're the director, I might as well ask you. Can I ask where the movie was shot?
Yeah, we had multiple locations in and around Seattle. So the school that Audrey goes to, that was in West Seattle. Liz's new home, that was in Burien, which is just outside of Seattle. There was a few locations that were in Shoreline, which is just a bit north of Seattle. So we were very lucky to kind of stay close to our home base.
Nice.
Very nice.
Now let's bring in, and I hope I don't ruin the name, Sanae. Is that right? Excellent. All right, great.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. Sanae, a lot of folks are curious about younger actors or actresses, and I was wondering, how long have you been doing acting, and how did you get into mostly, or well, not mostly, but a number of well-known horror films?
So I've been acting since I was 4. I honestly had no intention of getting into acting really when I was younger. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and then it just kind of like took off, and I just continued with it. And as for horror films, it's kind of ironic that I have gotten into them because I particularly am very easily scared, and so I don't really watch a lot of horror films. But I have some really great family, and I've made some really great friends through all of the 12-ish years of acting, and it's just kind of led me towards horror films-ish, I guess. But then I met Angela at one of the premieres for one of her movies, and then she became my acting coach, and then I got involved with the Parish, and then I was like, finally something that's not super bloody and gory and not like in-your-face horror film. It's like a horror film, but like more of a thriller, you know? And like we've been saying, it has like some tragedy and it has more character, we'll say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It has more character. Oh, sorry, Angela.
I was just going to say, also for anyone who, for you gentlemen who've seen it, but for anyone who is going to see the movie, which is hopefully everyone watching, Sanae is also the furthest from her character. She is the sweetest, most wonderful. She would never talk to me that way, or her parents that way. You know, she's got her spice in the film. And I was like, when we had our fight scene, I remember afterwards we'd like joke and laugh with each other. But she's the sweetest, most loving young woman. And I will forever remember when she approached me at the and I brought her up on the red carpet with me, and she just introduced herself, and I got to meet her family for the first time then. And I think, Sanae, were you 12 then? 12 or 13? You were
Something like that.
Yeah, little Sanae. And I said, do you want to be an actor? She's like, you know, I do it. And I was like, let's do this. And I luckily have been blessed to be her acting coach. And that is also one of the major reasons Todd and I were talking about making the daughter a teenager, is we already were thinking of Sanae. We knew she would be amazing. And something that Sanae and Bill ended up having in common is their favorite place on earth, Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
I'm just saying.
So there is a shot in the trailer, and so this is for David. There's a shot in the trailer that obviously I just saw in the trailer, but when I was watching the film, I was very impressed with and liked quite a bit. And it's the scene where Liz is on the couch, and the husband shows up. Is like, "Oh, am I going to get a hug or what?" And she goes to hug him, and then there's that quick change that's almost like the visual equivalent of like I don't want to call it a jump scare because that's not what it is, but it is that sudden transition and goes from like the nice, well lit, warm, living room to his for lack of a better term, battle damaged form. Like just that sudden transition was so good. Can you walk us through your thought process on that and how you ended up shooting it?
Well, a lot of the stuff that I kind of fall into is luck, happy accidents, and I'm a fortunate person. I'm a master of nothing. I'm pretty good at a lot of things, which is a blessing and a curse. And that, we got to give a little bit of love to Dominic, the cinematographer, but that moment actually really, Dominic gets credit for that, but so does Tony Tibbetts, our editor, and Tim Mafia, our colorist, because that moment of going to black and white, adding that effect, getting that stinger in there, that sound effect, which Clatter and Din, they helped us with our post audio. I think that's why that moment is so effective. It's one of my favorite moments in the film as well, just because I think it just works really, really well. And that's where we can just see the combination of all these elements working together. It's not just the director, it's not just the script, it's the acting, it's the post, it's all of these things coming together to make these magic moments kind of stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been my favorite shot. And
everybody's had that nightmare where they see somebody that they love, whether they're alive or not, but they change in that instant and become something that, is horrifying, or, that's, you're channeling something else there. And so I thought that was a really relatable moment. And yeah, it was very well executed.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be a physical deformity. It can also be like just a complete shift in, behavior.
Right.
Yeah. I have a question for both Todd and Jen. Fortunately, like I said, I didn't watch the trailer beforehand, and I went in completely blind, didn't even read the little blurb that I read earlier. And so when I watched the film, I actually didn't know who was going to be the villain, and the trailer unfortunately gives a little away that someone may be, I guess your character, Jen, is maybe ominously the villain. But I didn't get that until the third act, and I wanted to know if the script had that intentionally in there, and how you, Jen, were able to turn on the dime from being someone that we thought may have been helpful, a good Samaritan, versus what you became.
I think with different paths that a nun could take. I as I mentioned earlier, I have a place in my heart for that. But when you think about the anguish that we were talking about before, going unchecked for a long time in anybody, and sometimes in a person's own nervous system, it's under the surface until it no longer is. And that can happen very quickly. So I felt like that change had a lot behind it. Thanks to Todd.
I think that's first off. That's good.
Because there's definitely a. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was say there's definitely like Jen was just saying, different paths that things could have gone on, and as I'm watching this, and you're kind of you're not 100% sure what is going on, and I kind of like that. It's like I have a pretty good idea of what this is, but it's equally plausible that this could be some sort of shared trauma, hallucinogenic, just mass hysteria type of thing. But is it or isn't it? And then you start seeing like little bits and pieces, and it's like all right, it could still be like because we see her at the school, walking around, and then it's like, oh, you hallucinated somebody who you saw in a picture or you saw in the newspaper, and you didn't even realize that it's a subconscious thing. Or is this really going on, and is it really going this way? So I liked the fact that it wasn't just, the writing. It was, the combination of the writing, the acting, the directing, all the different scenes, the angles that you were using, the specific way the characters interacted with each other, all the actors kind of knowing which direction this is going, but still being able to kind of, to a certain extent, pull the wool over the audience's eyes, and kind of lead you, like Phil was saying, like not to not be 100% until the third act of the film.
One, like Philip said, I mean, to answer you, Phil, that's Todd, that is how the script was written, that there isn't, it's like once we have that reveal of the photo, and again, I don't think we're giving spoilers to anybody, but once you see that photo of Sister Beatrice and Liz working with Father Felix, everything starts coming together. All those things start meshing. But what I love about Todd's writing is ever since I was a kid, I was addicted to Stephen King. And why I was drawn to Stephen King as an actor, and I mean, like, I was a dark little kid. Unlike Sanae, I was addicted to, like, I'm talking 7, 8, 9-year-old reading paperback, okay? And I'm like, Pet Cemetery, awesome. But for me, he always had so many storylines and complexities that it was never just one person's journey. Look at The Shining. Right? I loved The Shining as well as a kid. And I was like, it was so many complex people. So what Todd has given us is everybody from Sanae, from Audrey's character to Liz, to Sister Beatrice, to other characters I won't mention, but you guys obviously meet them eventually, that they're all on a journey. And then at the core, it is Liz's loss and feeling, I don't know how to hold on to faith. I don't know what's going to happen next. And what Todd gave the audience is that same unsettled feeling throughout the whole film. So you guys are actually there with me. whether you realize it or not, you should know all the answers because Liz doesn't know them.
Exactly.
But Todd beautifully made it that the audience knows once Liz knows. And hopefully that's the case. I'm sure a lot of people
Liz,
guess right out the
Liz
gate.
is a touchstone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Todd, I remember Todd was like, especially once we got Bill, Todd was like, oh, so many people will think Bill's the villain. And I'm not going to tell you guys if he is or not.
Right.
And see, and that's sorry, Phil. I'm just going to quickly comment on that. And that's the sign of good writing, where you only know as much as the main character knows. You know, there's not this like, you know, you don't overhear somebody on the news talking about what's going on. You know, it's kind of like, you know, and Todd, you're a writer, keeping the monster hidden, because once you reveal the monster, you can't go back. Once you reveal that this is what this is, that's it. And it's either going to scare you or it's not going to scare you.
Right.
You know, if you're not afraid of giant spiders, then having the monster be a giant spider isn't going to affect you. But the unknown, letting your imagination run wild, and the fact that so much of this takes place in the dark, it's like the Bill Watterson quote. I love it, and I use it to inspire myself when I'm writing. Nighttime is dark, so we can imagine our fears with less distraction.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for Angela and Todd. Was the broccoli joke actually in the script, or did you, Angela, and Ray Tagavilla come up with it? All right, so it was in the script, Todd?
No.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh,
No,
okay. We got to hear the story behind it. What is it?
Again, God bless you, Todd. We love you. So even when Todd would get to see any dailies, or if he could be on set with us, or when he finally got the finished product, he's like, wait, what's this? Or what, people? And obviously, you know, making an indie film, you're trying to make your day. You know, we did this, you guys, in 15 days. That's, for those watching who don't know, that is not a lot of time for a feature. So that was you know, you got my husband, who's the director. You got me in bed with this guy, Ray Tagavilla, in a
compromising
after the moment of love.
Afternoon delight.
Like Sara and Jen, I have known these artists. Ray and I are actually dear friends. David is dear friends with Ray. But yeah, being topless on top of a guy in front of your husband, you know, you're doing this scene. And David said, hey, you guys just talk. Just, you know, they're comfortable. They love each other. And so we knew for this moment that this is the only time the audience gets to see what we were like. And Ray, thank God, because I was a little, you know, and I have been in sexy scenes before, but a lot of times I'm cast opposite David. I'm pointing towards Sara. David. So anyway, and Ray just kind of took it. We had no idea what he was going to say. I honestly am in the moment, Phil, because I did not know where the joke was going. So when I was ad-libbing going, is there a point? Because I was like, dude, like, what's going on? And it was hilarious and beautiful. And I remember when Todd originally saw it, he was like, oh, I don't know. But when we intercut it with the running, so she's fighting it and remembering, then we all went, you know what? We need it. We need it. And we've had people at our private screener and our private premiere for the cast and crew, you know, when they brought friends and family, who remembered that moment. And they said, thank you for showing us something where he wasn't in a horrific war scene. And it was just something that, again, here, you got to surround yourself with amazing artists, A, and B, like David says all the time, then you also surround yourself with people who know more than you. Our crew, like we have very experienced crew who were bringing things to David as a director that he was like, oh my God, yes. The actors were bringing stuff to me and to Todd, and we're both like, yeah, let's try it. So there was a lot of yes, and this whole production.
I was going to say on that particular scene, it was originally written as a montage with a lot of different cuts to Liz and Jace being domestic and being in love and showing different aspects of their life and being a family together. But as with a lot of, you know, indie productions, you got to meet your bottom line. You got to meet your day. And so some of those shots, which would have taken completely new setups and different locations, they have to go. And so you have to make do with what you have. And so that actually ended up playing in place of all of these other little snippets, but it totally works as, as furthering that story, that backstory for them.
I think it was great. That whole sequence was excellent. And, like Angela said, you get to see him as not, this, horrifically mangled, like the way she envisions him. Because I'm going to take a wild guess and say that, she never saw him in that state. This is just the way she is imagining what he looked like and how, damaged he was.
Yep.
Correct.
And yeah, it was great.
We are at time, so I know you guys got to get to a class, so we'll wrap things up. And I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. We're talking about The Parish, which is out tomorrow on VOD and physical media. Links are in the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And we'll do a quick rundown. We'll do it as fast as we can. So just as we do, where do you like people following you? And taking a question from the movie with Audrey and Caleb, mention your favorite comic book. So we'll start with David.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. You can follow our film at The Parish Movie. We are on Twitter and Facebook and also on Instagram. My favorite comic book. Oh, man. I used to love a lot of comics when I was a kid. I'm just going to go ahead and say The Incredible Hulk.
Nice.
Okay. Angela.
You can follow me if you would like on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and that's at I'm Angela DiMarco, and also our company and our acting studio is at Mighty Tripod on all platforms. And I was just always about badass women, so anything with the badass women. But of course, I'd be lying if I didn't just shout out to Wonder Woman.
There.
Sarah.
Hi. Yeah, follow me on Instagram at Scotsy and on Twitter at SLCoats. I didn't plan ahead in life and do them the same. So, and I was always an X-Men gal. I collected the cards, read the comic books, loved it.
Very cool. Todd.
You can find all of my links and everything are on my writer's website at todddowning.com. That's with 3 Ds because I have 2 Ds in my first name and 1 D in the second name. Just string them all together. todddowning.com. And I was a kid of the 70s and 80s, so I was an X-Men kid, much like Sara, and X-Men and Daredevil.
Nice.
And
Don't follow me. I'm a private person, like Wolverine.
Very nice.
Nice.
Well done.
Sanae.
You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, I believe, at Sanae Loutsis. And my favorite comic, I'm going to stray from the superheroes, and I always loved the Archie comics. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. Yeah. We'll do the rest of our rundown after you guys head on out. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we urge everybody definitely check out The Parish. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
There we go. So yeah, the Parish comes out tomorrow. So the question that I just asked, I love it that it doesn't give anything away as of the direction things are going, and it can be taken in different contexts as of the answers, as of different time frames and stuff like that. Phil, what about you?
Yes, folks can find us at darkdiscussions.com. It's basically Dark Discussions News Network. It's an all-news network for genre, podcasts, reviews, interviews, release notices, columns, and so much more. And for a favorite comic book, when I was a kid, it was a comic book called Devil Dinosaur, which was really awesome. I don't know if they even do it anymore. I think it was Marvel. But Wonder Woman, you may not be able to see that, but there she is. You can see her a little bit. She's on my my desktop, so that's my favorite present day.
Nice. You excited for the Snyder cut?
I guess so. I mean, I'm not. I am not a big fan of long superhero films with ridiculous action, but since Wonder Woman will be in it, I'll definitely see it. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 hours long, and
I'm so pumped.
I know I'm hearing so much good about it. Patsy,
Yeah, Zack Snyder's awesome, so I love him.
I love Zack Snyder. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you can follow me lots of places. You can follow me here on the Dorkany. You can follow me at throwdownthursdaypodcast.com. You can follow Throwdown Thursday Podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow me at the Loudest Sports Show, which we were talking about off air. We didn't really mention it so much on air, but we're in the last couple of days of raffling off the Bill Belichick helmet. $10 a spot. We are raising money for the Strong-Willed Sports Memorabilia and More group, and we are helping them fight pediatric cancer. We are sponsoring them in their Pan Mass Challenge bike ride, which takes them from Sturbridge, Massachusetts to the very tip of the arm of Massachusetts in Provincetown. It's 193 miles, so we're trying to help them raise some money as well. We committed a minimum of $250, but we, thanks to some of the folks who have been contributing into the raffles, we're going to blow that away. I'm very excited. You can also find me in the coming weeks on the Pivot streaming app on the Dream Apex channel. It's a TV show called The Other Side of Midnight, where I play Will Mouse the Darkling, and you got to see Will Mouse a few weeks ago. He was on here answering some questions. You can also find me on Amazon, How Much Do You Tip an Exorcist? And I was always a huge fan of Spider-Man comics when I was younger, because that to me seemed the most likely way of becoming a superhero is if I was accidentally bitten by some sort of radioactive mutative spider. It also seemed the safest way than sitting in a bomb explosion or getting bombarded by cosmic space rays while in an experimental spacecraft. But now I like a lot of the crossover comics, like the Marvel versus DC, or, I have the Batman versus Aliens crossover, Alien versus Predator. I'm a big fan of the Alien versus Predator versus Terminator series. So all of that stuff, any of those crazy crossovers for properties you don't normally get to see, that's what I like.
very cool. I just picked up Invincible when he teamed up with or was against Spider-Man. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But more importantly, check out the Parish tomorrow. Information, show notes down below or up above. And, I also run a thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. You can find over 30 shows on the network. A lot of awesome stuff going on. And for me, I like Spider-Man, Superman, but my go-to character is definitely Batman. I mean, just the... he's a superhero without having superhero powers.
You know what you need, Leo? You need to get the Batman Files.
The Batman Files. Okay.
It's a hardcover book. I bought it a few years ago when Barnes & Noble was doing a buy two, get one free sale. It was normally a $75 book that I got for $30. It's a hardcover book, and it has it's supposed to be all of his files, blueprints, schematics,
nice.
Detailed files on all the supervillains. It's amazing.
I'll check it out. Batman Files. With that Exorcist, the Parish. I watched a Bill Oberst Jr. interview before we started, and he was talking about he wanted to do an Exorcist type movie. But yeah, Bill Oberst Jr. And thanks for Wolfe for tuning in for saying Circus of the Dead.
Wolfe!
We'll catch you guys there. Bye.
Bye, everybody.